Literally. The business is run by a father and son, so when you call them, you'll talk to someone you know and who knows you. Being great at mortgages is their life. They are a family company that shares your values. They're also a direct lender, which means they've cut out the middleman to get you the best rate without any hassle, which means the whole mortgage process moves more quickly and you get a better rate. They want to see you get into that new home at the lowest possible price. Don't wait. Take action now. Learn more by visiting UnitedFaithMortgage.com. That's UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Brecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to HelixSleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
It is 8:38, Team Hawkbury Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonte.
In Crystal Lake, 31 has reopened between Terracotta and Ray after a crash. In Hinsdale, there's a collision on York Road at Ogden. And we see delays on the southbound tri-state right now. From the Hinsdale Oasis to the Stevenson, there's some road work in that area. Northbound, farther north, traffic is tight between the Reagan Tollway and the Eisenhower. On the Kennedy, inbound delays start at Cumberland. It's 23 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Inbound Eisenhower, the trip time is 30 minutes from 390. The Stevenson runs 30 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. And Wyatt, 17 minutes, 95th to downtown. There is moving work on the eastbound Indiana Toll Road from 94 to State Road 49 in the right lane. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our AM 560 Weather Center. Cloudy in your forecast, rain or snow showers in spots today. Breezy, high 43, mainly cloudy, 31 overnight. 35 at O'Hare, 34 along the lakefront. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. Sean from Elmwood Park in for Dan Proft today. You know, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that 80 million Americans voted for Joe Biden.
Sure they did.
I mean, are you still having a hard time with that?
Yeah, it's perfectly legit. This is the greatest fraud in U.S. history, bar none.
Well,
and there's been a lot of frauds.
There's a new Trump petition asking the Supreme Court to overturn Pennsylvania election results that was filed last night. We'll see where that goes. And in Georgia, they still haven't corrected the numbers. They discovered and found out that 1,700 people voted twice. They voted for a mail-in ballot, and then on Election Day, they went in again and voted. And that's called voter fraud. And they should be arrested, you know, to show people, hey, we don't allow this in America.
Every district this happened to is run by the Democrat mafia. And until you reject them and wake up, they're going to keep doing it.
No, the Secretary of State in Georgia is a Republican.
Pushback?
He's a Republican.
It doesn't matter. It's the districts. It's the voting hubs. He's just a Republican shill, like Mitt Romney. He just wants that machine turned back on so he can cash out.
With more on this, let's welcome back to the program Chuck Caro, first investigative reporter at CNN, and his beautiful wife, Lynne Russell, also former anchor, for Headline News, I do believe, and CNN. Good morning to both of you. How are you?
Morning, Sean. Good morning, Amy. How are you?
Oh, we're doing well.
Good morning.
You're registered voters in Georgia, correct?
My wife is. I'm here where America begins in West Virginia. Get to the side of the Shenandoah, and all is the way it should be.
Wow. All right. So, Lynn, let's start with you. Are you confident that you're going to have fair elections for the two Senate runoffs, which take place January 5th?
Absolutely not. Here's what I did because of COVID, and I'm going to just leave the room because we're in the same room, but we have a delay going here. Bye. For the first one, right in November, I had requested an absentee ballot, and just in case, right, and knowing full well how anyway because it's not new to me, but All of this is new to me. The extent of it is overwhelming, disgusting, disappointing, and demoralizing. And anyway, so I had my absentee ballot, but I didn't use it. I drove there to vote in person, to early vote in person, and I was heartened when I went in while the social distancing, waited an hour and a half outside, and the weather was good, and I went inside and watched there, and I don't know whether he was Republican or Democrat, but he was sitting there, and the woman at the computer said, "Did you request an absentee ballot?" And I said, "Well, yes, I did. I was really glad, that she caught it." I said, "But I don't need it. I'm not here. I'm not casting it. I'm here, so I'm not casting it." And, that made me feel pretty good. I had no idea the extent to which it would be completely screwed up in every other way. And you've got a Republican governor, voted for the guy. He used to be Secretary of State, Brian Kemp. Mm-hmm. And Raffensperger's Republican, right? And I don't know, it shouldn't make a difference whether it's Democrat or Republican as far as treating the vote with the respect that it deserves. But how screwed up can it be? I'm trying not to use all the language I normally would use.
So do you, in your heart of hearts, do you think Georgia went for Trump?
Of course. And this time, again, the same thing, absentee ballot, but I'm not going to be able to be there. And I walked into the very small post office where we are and announced that I hold in my hand, like Karnak the Magnificent, I hold in my hand a genuine Georgia absentee ballot, and everything stopped. And nobody knows what's going on, and it's really, really sad. The problem is they haven't changed anything about the way they're doing it. They're just going to maybe allow people to watch, but they're not changing the way you do it. I can be anybody and request an absentee ballot in my name, in somebody else's name, and all they're going to do is the signature on the ballot to the signature on the request, not the signature in the database. That's screwed up.
Yeah. And the real problem is that aside from just that issue, there's the very hackable, internet-friendly voting machines with untraceable data. So the reality is they could do the old-fashioned ballot stuffing, Lynn, that Chuck, your husband, and I grew up in the neighborhoods that perfected it, right? The Democrat mafia neighborhoods. Or they could do the modern where Facebook and Google and Silicon Valley is the IT department for the neo-Marxist Democrat mafia. So they got it locked up 8 ways to Tuesday. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And you know what? I feel so left out because I'm Italian. Don't I get any mafia?
No, you don't. Because the Caro is the real Italian. And I have even a hard time, because I'm lucky enough to know him where we've talked off air. And I have a hard time even listening to him because I know he's smiling ear to ear because he's married to you, which is the equivalent of a kid being locked in Kittyland pretending to be angry.
Oh, bless his heart. He's such a sweetheart. I'm the lucky one. I go on record as saying I am the lucky one. And he cooks.
And you cook. Good. So, Chuck, what do you make of all this?
This is directed at Sean, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, you both of you are focused way down low in the grass. The United States is in a war, and it doesn't realize it's in a war. Now, please excuse me while I go professorial on you, but this is what I teach when I lecture at the National Defense University and National Intelligence University. The United States goes to war when it sees clear and present danger. What happens if the danger is present but not clear, like excessive cigarette smoking, or the danger is clear but not, the danger is clear and not present, like cigarette smoking, or present and not clear, like slow poison that Lucretia Borgia used with great political effectiveness during the Renaissance. It's my view that the Chinese, not the Russians, the Chinese, have adopted a generational slow-motion war against the United States. Oddly, the seeds for how to do that came from my friend and the late Alvin Toffler, who influenced Deng Xiaoping with his book, The Third Wave, about the effect of computers on modern times. He also gave him later a copy of War and Anti-War. Deng Xiaoping, 25, 30 years ago, was so taken with this that he put the Chinese People's Liberation Air Force on the job. And their two best colonels, Quang Xiaoping and Liang, wrote a book called War Without Limits. Okay? And War Without Limits, published here, is Unrestricted Warfare. Talks about essentially the death of 1,000 cuts across time against the United States in 4 areas of national power: diplomatic, information, military, and economic. Okay? To give you an idea, you see the Chinese build up all of the South China Sea with the artificial islands and spending gazillions on advanced research, including artificial intelligence and microbiology, to create a race of soldiers who are indomitable, just like out of science fiction. Economic, you'll see that they, after we gave up the Panama Canal to Trujillo, the first people to come in and bid 30 years ago were the Chinese, who've been running the Panama Canal, now digging a bigger one, and are going next door and propping up the regime in Venezuela and being nice to the folks in Costa Rica by giving 3,500 police cars and a national stadium. Okay, diplomatic efforts, they're slowly talking to third world countries to build up their votes in the United Nations. And information, you're seeing it here and now, not through direct payments, but through second, third, fourth, fifth parties. I would recommend that you go to page 191 in the book, and there's Joe Biden's son, and there's Swalwell, where it says special funds needed for, quote, lobbying to influence legislators and executives. I ask you to come down from the grassroots and go up to a bigger, more important problem, and that is China and the concept of slow motion war. Read the book, guys.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Chuck, and you know that I don't.
You better not, Sean. I'm the instructor.
I want to add a caveat, and I've coined the cold civil war that I believe we've been in since the 60s. Mm-hmm. And that's true, and you're 100% right. And to me, the Soviet ideology of both the old Cold War, of China, of Cuba, of Venezuela, you're exactly right. And you could put a face on it. You could put a name of another country. But the reality is we have subversives in position of power in this country. So to blame another country, to me, is to take our eye off the ball that the real cold civil war started in the 60s when we allowed communists to take over our education system. So I'm not surprised. In fact, what I'm only surprised at is that there's even this much resistance to it. And, the reality is, Chuck, you know this. This is an ideological war that we are way behind in. And now you see this scumbag, lowlife in diapers, pretend to be president, this facade of a man, and he's just the Trojan horse of the Soviets. So what do we do now, Chuck? Because I say you come down here with me in South Florida, we walk around in our Speedos, and when we're not picking up the old women, no offense, Lynne, we are trying to start a secession movement. What do you say?
Well, I'm not sure. Remember that Lincoln spent the better part of his presidency making sure that you didn't have secession. You don't want that. Divided we're weak. I mean, you could go back 30 years and read the book, The 9 Countries of North America, and you really don't want that. What you want is one strong, united States of America. So,
I'm not going to bend knee to Biden and the rest of these scumbag Democrats. I'm not, Chuck. I'm telling you right now, I'm done with them.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you disengage, you get to lose. Especially if they actually manage to get the levers of power, then you really lose.
We lost.
So
when Mitch McConnell's my hope, Chuck.
What you need is more activist citizenry. This is not the time to be apathetic. I mean, the people in Georgia are thinking, well, if I don't vote, I'll show them how pissed off I am. No, that's not the way to do it.
Oh, I totally disagree. It's a rigged game, Chuck. Come on. Did you go to the neighborhood and play with Jilly in the loaded dice? What am I, a pigeon? I'm not going to turn to my abuser and pretend I got a chance. The dice are fake. It's loaded. It's rigged. I'm done. I'm going to waste my time?
Sean, you go to his mother and say, Mrs. Antonucci, I want to tell you about your boy Rocco.
Yeah.
And then done. It's over. You see, you don't know how to play this game because you're just a kid.
No, these days are gone.
Mrs. Antonucci, and she comes out and Antonio is standing there and he's about to get the strap across his ass.
We did
that.
He's not
going to do anything.
We did that. We went to the Supreme Court, which is Mrs. Antonucci in your analogy, and she gave me the finger and slammed the door. Now I got nothing.
It's because you didn't speak Italian, Sean.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, real quick, before we let you guys go, Chuck, I love the vehicle that you bought, Lynn. Can you tell people? And did you tweet out a picture of that? That's not a vehicle. That's more of a armored tank.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Was that for COVID? For what was that for? Just
no. You and my wife share, anchor womanness.
Oh, God.
There's certain, there are things an anchor woman will or won't do, and we here in West Virginia every 3 or 4 years get a massive snowstorm. During the last one, about 3 or 4.
So don't be there. See the difference?
And she says,
look at her.
She was worried. We were both ill. And, I said, we can't get out because the Suburban, which I have a big monster Suburban, had snow up past the bumper. And the plow couldn't get to us. The ambulance couldn't get it, and we couldn't get to them. So I said, look, honey, what I'm going to do is, buy a large diesel lifted pickup 4-door leather, really nice. And
armor resistant.
Yeah, right.
It's
and she's
huge. It's
tapping her toe with her hands on her little tiny waist, looks me straight in the eyes with these brown lasers and says, I'm not riding in any freaking pickup. Okay, fine, honey. So I went out and I bought a M1081, which is a 17,700 pound deuce and a half, 2.5-ton truck, four-wheel full-time drive, Caterpillar engine, Allison transmission. It stands 9.6 feet off the ground, and it's like a backwards lowrider. It can suck itself down from the top down so it can fit in a C-130 and you can parachute it out. But best of all is that it'll ford 3 feet of water and 3 feet of snow. And if you hook up the snorkel, you can wade through water 6 feet deep. So it's
let me know how that goes. Well, I'm
typical
with the air conditioning and putting another capsule on my Nespresso.
Well,
okay?
it's lots of air conditioning. You can take the top off, the windows off, and just have the breeze coming through. It's an Army truck. It'll go anywhere.
There's a breeze coming through, all right.
It's particularly nice when I go meet my friend Buzz Carpenter, who's a SR-71 pilot, retired, and we meet at Dunkin' Donuts, and he shows up in his car, and I show up in my truck.
Yeah. Typical East Coast Italian guy telling you everything's fine, and he buys his wife an armored vehicle. Typical. Don't worry about a thing. Here's your Humvee, honey. Come on, Chuck. You don't fool me.
all right. All of it. Chuck DeCaro, Lynn Russell, thank you so much for coming on, and happy holidays to both of you, and good luck in that Georgia election. We're praying for you.
Yeah, thank you. We need it. We really do. Vote early and vote often. That's all I can say.
We've got time this week. We ought to talk about the details of China some more and let your audience understand or get a God's eye view of what's really happening over time. It's the time scale warfare that's changed. And all the stuff you're seeing in the bottom is just little manifestations of a much larger grand strategy. So
be safe and be happy, you guys, and keep your powder dry.
Thank you.
Right.
And they both joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and by now you've all heard me talk about MyPillow and how it literally changed my life. I met Mike Lindell. He fit me for my very own MyPillow, and I haven't stopped raving about them since. For a limited time, Mike is offering his premium MyPillows, yes, the one that started it all, for his lowest price ever. You can get a queen-size premium MyPillow, regularly $69.98, for only $29.98. That's a $40 savings.